give me 1 second here. All right. Okay, everybody see the agenda?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, as usual, the first real order of business is to review and approval of the draft minutes of our October meeting. I assume everybody, except for Sarah, got a chance to see them. And does anybody have any corrections, comments? And if not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve them, Eric.
And who's
Adam.
that? I'm sorry.
Vivian.
Wait a second, I gotta, hold on a second. Who was it? I'm sorry.
Adam.
Oh, Adam, okay. And is there a second?
Dan Fucci, Nassau County, I'll second.
Thank you, Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we'll deem them completed. On to administrative matters. As you know, we approved the hiring of Cash and Associates to perform a shellfish density survey. This will be the third one, in our history. Comprehensive survey. After a little bit of go around with DEC, we finally got the permit from DEC, and we also got the permit from the town of North Hempstead to conduct it in their waters. The survey has been done. They're in the process of now crunching the numbers and putting out the report. So we look forward to seeing those results sometime soon, probably before the end of the year. So it'll be interesting to see how the population has changed over time and how the benthic survey shows any differences, if there are any. So looking forward to that. And once we have it, I'll be glad to share it with everybody. In terms of proposed member dues, let me share something here. Let me find it here. Budget projection. Okay. What I did is I put together a budget projection from January 1st of next year until June of 2023, because that's when our member dues usually come in for 2023. So just to show you what we're dealing with right now, we have almost 122,000 in our account in Seacliff. Our anticipated income is about 75,000 from the NIFWIF grant for the 2021-2022 monitoring program. We will expect by the end of next year to receive the balance that's due the Protection Committee from the Marcelino grant, which is a little over 7,500, and also 5,000 from the Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District for the winter monitoring 2021 to 2022. So with all that, that would bring our account to about $210,000. And then looking at the expenses during that period, we still owe Coalition Safe Hempstead Harbor $26,000 for the 21-22 monitoring. We owe Cashin $27,000. Our annual web hosting is $500. I'm anticipating, based on this year, that the next year, the first claim for the 2022-2023 water monitoring from the Coalition will be about $60,000. And then looking at the executive director's salary for that year and a half, based on past experience, would be about $58,500. And then office expenses would be about $1,400. So the total expenses would be $173,400. And that would bring the new total to $36,098. We do have still $119,000 left in the Marcelino grants that we administer for the other protection committees, as well as ourselves. So we do have to have cash flow to lay out, say the Manhasset Bay Protection Committee, spend some money, we have to reimburse them, and then we get that back from DEC. So with all of that said, I think it's fair to say that we should probably keep the dues the same as they've been for several years, and which is, you can see here, these are this year's dues. The city of Glen Cove would be $81.50, the two towns $10,900, the villages $5,445, and the county $33,575. So that would be my recommendation. Of course, this is all informal because we do make that recommendation at our January meeting. But I usually give you a preview of what I think we should be doing in terms of dues. And we've kept those dues steady. You can see going back to 2015. So I think that would keep us in the black, and we should be okay to do that. So let me go back to, does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll go back to the agenda. Okay. So we can discuss that. If anybody has any comments or questions between now and our January meeting, feel free to get in touch with me and we can discuss it. Otherwise, in January, as you know, we will make our proposed dues, and then each member of the 9 municipalities have 60 days to consider whether they're in favor of it, and if they want to drop out of the committee. And then if they don't, then we adopt those dues at our March meeting. We've never had a municipality drop out, so hopefully that will never happen, but that option is available to everybody. So in terms of the Marcelino grant, we have about $7,000 left for our share to spend, and I think we've worked out with DEC how to spend that over the next year. The other two protection committees, Manhasset Bay and Oyster Bay Cold Spring Harbor, and the latter is managed by Friends of the Bay, still have quite a bit of funds to expend. We are working out how to do that. There's a possibility that Manhasset Bay believes that they're not going to be able to spend about half of their share. So we are, hold on, somebody wants to come in. Okay. So we're going to have a meeting on Friday to discuss that. There's a possibility that Manhasset Bay may be able to, give us part of their funds, and we're going to talk about how we could possibly spend that. And that would be about $35,000 that we would have available. And one of the thoughts Carol and I were discussing today is that we could see if the DEC will allow us to use those funds towards the shellfish density survey that we just undertook. And that would mean that the vast majority of that cost would be covered through grants. So that's something that we will let you know about. Also, at the last meeting that we had with DEC, they were amenable to us extending the grant for one more year. It was supposed to expire on December 31st of this year. Just today, they approved the extension to the end of next year. So we have another year to spend everything, and they really do want us to, they don't want us to leave money on the table. They want it spent. So we're working on that, and everybody's working on that. On the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation grant for the 2022 to 2023 monitoring, we applied for $100,000, which is what we've applied for the last few years. In the past, they've given us basically $75,000, and we've had to come up with the other $25,000 or thereabouts. We have been notified, and this is not for public dissemination at this point, because the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation wants to be the one to announce it to the public at their early December meeting. But because you're the committee and we're the ones doing it, I can tell you that we were successful for the first time in getting $100,000 for our grant for next year. So we look forward to, we haven't heard the date of when they're going to have the ceremony to award, but it's supposed to be sometime in early December. So that's very good news. In terms of the meeting schedule for next year, I basically looked at, our meeting schedule for this year and then, backed it off a day because Wednesday is a day earlier next year. So if anybody has any problems, let me know, but otherwise the schedule will be basically the same as this year, and you can see the dates that are listed there. And is that acceptable to everybody? Does this Wednesdays at 7 work for everybody?
I can't make it on the 5th. I'll be away,
Okay.
January 5th.
Yeah, that's one of our most important meetings, so we can change that. When are you getting back?
I guess I could log in, but it's 5 hours later where I'll be.
Yeah, no, we can change the date. That's
Well,
but
I
we
get
also
back
have-
on, I think we get back on the 5th, actually. But, jet lag and all.
Yeah. Well, we could move that meeting to the 12th, but then we would have to move the March meeting a week back also because we need to give 60 days. But moving the March meeting back would put that on St. Patrick's Day. I don't think that that's a problem for anybody, is it?
Is that a regulation, the 60 days?
It's in our intermunicipal agreement.
St. Patrick's Day is a vital holiday in my family, so I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I'll try.
Let me see here. Oh, wait a second. No, March in 2022 calendar here. Be March 16th. What do I have here? March 13th? No, March 10th. Yeah, I'm gonna have to revise this because I'm looking now at 2022 and I think I'm a day off. So it's March 9th or March 16th. So that's not St. Patrick's Day. So March 16th, and that would be January 12th. All right. Does anybody else have any? Those are the two most important dates because we need to obviously have dues to exist. So
Can
I
we
will-
tell you after?
say again. I thought I heard Carol start to speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You'll be putting the dates in the minutes.
Yeah,
So we'll have time to check and look at our calendars and then get back to you.
yeah. I mean, the most important one is the January. That's the next meeting. After that, we can change it whenever we want. But at least we should agree on the January meeting. Is everybody okay with that? January 12th?
Should be okay.
Okay. And these are just going to be proposed, but the January, we need to set a January meeting because this is our last meeting of this year. Okay, you'll see I've added on to this agenda something called Executive Director position. As you may know, I have been the Executive Director since May of 2003. That's been over 18 years. In May of next year will be 19 years. And I've been given a lot of thought. My original intent was to continue in this position until I started receiving Social Security. That date came and left last year, and I'm still here, but I've been given a lot of thought, and I think it's time for me to finally retire. And, but it's not that I'm going to be leaving right away. I would like to, I will stay on until we can find another executive director. And we need to discuss, you know, how we procure such person. When I was hired, a committee was formed of the from the committee to advertise and interview candidates, and then they were decided to made a recommendation to the board, and then the board ended up you know, appointing me to that position. So I would like to you guys to decide what you want to do. I do have a lot of old files. I mean, I have a whole room full of boxes of files. I don't know if we need to keep all of those. I've never really thrown anything away. We do have to deal with that. We also have, I have basically all my files in the cloud and on my personal laptop. And I would suggest that we purchase a new laptop and download all the files for whoever this new person is. And then, you know, we can figure out when that person would start. So that's my situation. And, you know, I'll open it up to the floor of what people think we should do.
Eric, this is Kevin with the town of North Hempstead. First of all, congratulations. Nobody earned it more than you. But I was a part of that original process to hire you. Probably one of the better decisions I've made. That being said, I think we should go the same route as we did previously, where we form a subcommittee. I believe the subcommittee was representative of the town, cities, and villages, and who wanted to be on that committee. We kept it to, I think it was just a 4 or 5 member committee. You know, we advertised it, we took interviews, and we made recommendations to the full committee. And then from there, we went ahead and hired somebody. Does that sound good to anybody or everybody, or can anybody hear me?
We can hear you.
My question would be, we will want to use online services, I think, to advertise. No?
Yeah, we can figure that all out once we get a committee formed. But yeah,
okay.
you do Indeed, or you would locally advertise with the committees. You know, the different committees: Long Island Sound Study, Manhasset Bay. You get it out through, you know, all the different committees, and words comes around, and we would go from there.
Okay.
I could tell you, you know, my role with the Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District, we've recently hired 2 new people, and we've gotten some great candidates. We did use from time to time those online services like Indeed. You do need to be a little careful because you could be inundated with a lot of people, you know, that may not be exactly what you want. And then you got to respond to them. I think the best thing to do, I mean, we have a good network of colleagues in other protection committees, similar organizations, Long Island Sound Study. I would suggest first outreaching to those. Those are people who know what we do and work in a similar capacity, you know, but that's up to you guys. But, you know, I would be, if you guys want me to assist or help, or yeah, I would certainly be glad to do that. But that's really, it's, you know, I work for you guys. It's up to you.
Will you be available to train them for some period of time?
I would, yes. I mean, I'll stay on, you know, until you guys are, you know, comfortable with the new person. And if you want, I mean, once the person's hired, if you wanted to retain me on an hourly basis from time to time, if something comes up, I mean, I think I'd be willing to do that. But one of the reasons, you know, is I want to travel, I'm not getting younger and we just bought a really nice RV and never been able to go too far because I always had to get back within a week or two or, so I would like to go cross country, do a lot of that. So if I'm away, probably I wouldn't be available then, but when I'm home, I'm here and willing to help.
Thanks again for that, Eric.
So I guess what we should probably do is take volunteers who wants to be on a committee and then let the committee, refine how it wants to handle finding somebody.
Yeah, Eric, this is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. You can put me on that committee. And if we need to, if nobody's, or if people are shy today, we can follow up in some capacity through you just to form that committee. I do feel you should also be on that committee, as I believe Lynn Oliver before you was also on a committee to hire you.
Okay. I'm willing to do that.
I mean, of course, if you're willing, yeah.
Sorry, what is the committee? I'm sorry, I've got stuck and I'm just joining.
You missed my bombshell announcement is that I have decided to retire from the committee after 18 plus years.
Wow.
And
I missed 20 minutes and like the whole world changed.
Yeah. So
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. But so we're looking for people to serve on a committee, a search committee, basically to try to find a new executive director.
I nominate Carol.
Conflict of interest. Eric, you've done a tremendous job. You are going to be sorely missed.
Yep.
No matter who comes in to take up that position, you've done such an incredible job over all of these years. So thank you for all your incredibly good work.
Oh, thank you. But it'll also be good to get some new blood in, and there's a lot of good talent out there, and it may, bring the protection committee in, better direction, more active. One of the things, the whole world's going to social media and all of that, and that's something that's not one of my strong points. And there are a lot of people out there that could probably do a better job than I have on, outreaching through that means.
Did you say the whole world's going to hell? Was that Eric? What?
I guess it's how you define hell.
Social media. When is your big day?
There's no specific date. I will stay on until you guys find somebody, but I really do hope that you guys, pursue this earnestly, so that, I can enjoy my retirement.
Right. I caught the RV part, but I didn't, without that piece of the puzzle, I thought you were driving the RV around looking for interesting places to look at nature for this project, but wow, good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Kevin from North Hempstead. I don't think I would want to be the guy follows your footsteps. So good luck.
It's a good position for somebody. I mean, it's, you pretty much make your own hours. Obviously, one of the things that the group is going to decide is, what the level of pay is, but it's for me, it's been decent. I mean, I've gotten the same rate since I began, but it's still a decent rate. But that's up to the committee. And that may have a bearing on, what kind of candidates you get, is how much you're willing to compensate them for. But I mean, just so you know, it's basically averaged out to 15 to 20 hours a week. Obviously, there are certain times of year it's slower and other times of the year it's busier. But that's what it averages out to.
I was more along the lines of talking about expectations. you've held a high level of expectation. So the next person who comes in is going to have to meet that. So that's going to be a challenge.
I guess that's the same in any job. All right. Maybe I can ask you, Kevin, to outreach to the committee after this meeting and see if anybody's willing to join you and I on the search. It shouldn't just be you and I.
No. I'll take the lead. I don't know if it's going to be right away, but as the holidays come, we'll figure something out, and we won't leave you on the hook for long. But yeah, I'll lead that charge with the committee.
Okay. And I'll start letting other people and other organizations know that and if they're interested, then they can contact you, and until there's a full committee.
Yeah, feel free to pass on my information if anybody's interested right off the bat. We can start it like that, and then we can figure out what way we want to go in terms of furthering the search if needed.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the water quality, which is what we're here all about. So Carol, do you want to update us on what's happening with the monitoring?
Program, sure. We concluded the core monitoring program for the regular season on October 28th. We started the winter monitoring on November 10. We started the data review and prep, believe it or not, for the 2021 annual report, which will take quite a bit of effort and time before that's completed. But we're just starting, and concluded the UWS, which is a coalitions program working with Save the Sound and other member organizations around Long Island Sound. That was completed October 25th, in the process of the completion of the data entry for that, and the conclusion for this year. Then we also concluded the Tappan Marina monitoring program that we had done this year with the coalition. Had a grant from Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District to be able to again monitor the marina's water quality while the FLUPSIs had been installed by the town of Oyster Bay and had been there up until also the end of October. We're in the process of completing the final report for that program. And then monitoring was extended beyond the regular season because of some issues that had been observed during the season in Glen Cove Creek, and we'll talk more about that when it comes up on the agenda a little bit later on. And that's pretty much all of the program reporting.
Okay. Moving on, the Scudder's Pond Weir replacement. As you'll recall, our county legislator, Delia DeRigi-Whitten, had put in a request for $200,000 to replace the Scudder's Pond Weir. I'm happy to report that that did make it into the budget, this next year county budget. But what remains to be done is for the county legislature to actually appropriate those funds for this. She doesn't anticipate that it's going to be anything controversial. In the greater scheme of things, it's not a great amount of money, and everybody's in favor of water quality. And this is a county road and county drainage system, so it should go through. We don't know exactly when, but that's very good news, because it's more than enough money that from the estimate that we have to do that replacement. And it's important because, as you know, the Weir failed last year, and the pond drained down to almost nothing, and then temporary repairs were made and drained again, and then we basically did a second repair with a bunch of sandbags, and that seemed to work for a long time. And now it seems to be clogged and overflowing and flooding onto the road. So obviously the just like we hear all the stories about infrastructure, this is the infrastructure that needs improving, and it looks like the funds will be on their way to do that. The Nassau County 9-element plan, I guess I'll turn that over to Dan to see if there's anything new on that.
Good evening, everyone. We're hoping to maybe in the next month or two get a draft of the plan from Dr. Goldberg in SUNY Stony Brook. So that's essentially where we are. We had a meeting the other day, and when we do ultimately get that draft plan, we will share it with the stakeholders for comment, of course. So that's where we are with that.
Okay, thank you. On a similar note, DEC pathogen TMDL, there's been no new word on that for a couple months. So we're just waiting to see what happens. So just nothing to report. Stand by on that. Addressing bacteria in powerhouse drains, sub-watershed. There's no new news from my end. I don't know if anybody else has got anything else to report. I don't think so. We'll just-
Eric, I know you were asking about those funds or something for a
Yeah.
study. The DEC has not reached out to the county, as far as I know, about funding opportunities of any kind. And so ultimately what's going to happen, what should happen, is the county's going to have to reach out to DEC at some point and ask, what the status of those NRD funds are. I'm not sure how soon that's going to happen now with the change of administration coming. It's going to be a transition period now, so perhaps when the transition's complete, we can reassess that.
Yeah, I know that there was outreach going back, what, 6 months or more ago, and I think Brian had reached out to Sue, and they were amenable.
Yeah, but there hasn't been much since then, and Brian's leaving imminent, and that was occurring anyway. So I think at this point it's better to I wouldn't expect anything until let things settle in a couple of months, and we can relook at that.
Dan, this is Kevin with the town of North Hempstead. Is Brian retiring?
Yes, he's retiring.
Oh, all right, great. When?
Probably December, I think.
He told me the end of the year,
Yeah.
and he was going to go regardless of.
Yeah, that had nothing. The
administration.
election had nothing. Yeah, he was going anyway. So.
All right, I'm going to have to follow up with a phone call. Thank you for telling me.
Okay.
That's going to be a big loss. He's been a real friend to all of us, and good guy.
Definitely.
All right. Maybe I'll switch the agenda a little bit, because I know that the bacteria issues in Glen Cove Creek is going to be, have some discussion. So just to bring you up to date on the Nassau County Septic Grant Program, we had our first install fully under the program just this last Thursday in Seacliff. And the Fuji system went in, and it was the first Fuji in Nassau County. Everything went pretty well. They had a little glitch in the beginning when an unexpected water line was hit, and they had to replace the water line, but the system's in, it looks good. A lot of the kinks in the grant program seem to be working out. We just heard today that the county has allowed its Soil and Water Conservation District to actually sign the grant agreements on behalf of the county to the property owners. That will save a lot of time. And we've been working out a lot of the different procedures. And so we're in good shape. There's about 117, I think was the last count, of applicants in the system for the 200 grants that we have available to to hand out of up to $20,000 apiece. And we've got a number of installers and designers that are out there looking for work, and the program is coming together. The one point that's holding up a lot of these is what they call assignment of payment, where that's just about worked out too, where the homeowner can assign their payment to the installer. Therefore, the homeowner would not have to lay out much money. They would still have to pay for the design first, and then hire the installer with an assignment of payment. So that's all good news. And most of the largest share of applicants are in the village of Bayville, which is probably the most critical area because it's really a narrow area that is on a high water table. There are a lot of failing septic systems there. So stay tuned on that. Which then brings us to the bacteria issues in Glen Cove Creek. And that's been, as Carol will tell you in a minute, it's a growing problem. It doesn't seem to be going away. And we need to find a way to address this so that we're in good shape when any stimulus money comes down to or infrastructure money in order to address the problems. But I'll turn it over to Carol because she's been doing a lot of work in surveying, and she also sent a report around prior to the meeting that gives you data. So I'll turn it over to Carol.
Yeah, so we started observing increasing levels and increasing incidence of high levels of bacteria in Glen Cove Creek, not just at single stations, but throughout the creek. And when we started really looking at where all of this was coming from, we started noticing that first we weren't really sure. It seemed like in the middle of the creek, there was a potential source, but as things progressed, it looked like we were getting the higher numbers from the head of the creek. So Rocco Graziosi from Glen Cove was on the call, was informed right away. I've also spoken with Dan Fucci and also Nassau County Department of Health person. We work with Andrew Wendelowski about these levels, and everybody agrees that they, are pretty unusual and alarming levels. And when we started to put the data together, we made a comparison of what's happening with the creek and the levels that we're getting, how they were comparing over the last few years from 2019 to 2020 to now. You could see a progression in the levels, but this year continues to be a bad situation. And that was the cause for making a decision to extend the monitoring for the creek to the extent that we could do that. And Rocco's, been helping with grabbing samples at the head of the creek and then also at the pond. And we'll do some more sampling tomorrow. When Dan and I spoke, he was able to go back to testing that Nassau County DPW had done, and it corresponded with the high numbers we were getting. I don't know, Dan, do you want to explain the type of testing that your department does that kind of tied into this?
Right, twice a year, the department does testing countywide in regard to our stormwater management program. One of the locations, there's actually two locations along Glen Cove Creek, south of the tidal portion of the creek, actually. One is I guess that's Pratt Boulevard by the firehouse there. That's one of our sampling locations. And the other is way south off of Wren Court, which is in, I believe, Upper Brookville or Old Brookville. and we've been testing those locations for years. It appears that on October 21st, when we ran the test at the firehouse, where the culvert empties into the pond, yeah, there was a significant hit of bacteria. I think Entero was over 6,000, greater than 6,000 on that sampling date. And then interestingly enough, at the southern point where we sample, that location was clean. So I had told Carol that, yeah, we can certainly do an additional sample. It may not happen till early December, but I spoke to one of my sampling person who said they believe they can get in there in early December. I told her to please let me know when that would be, because I would like to, if possible, have Carol there when the sampling occurs, so Carol can see the exact location where we sample.
Mhm.
Hey,
So
Dan,
yeah.
I'm sorry, it's Rocco. Did you take the sample from the culvert or from the pond?
It's where the water it's we try to catch it as it's coming out of that culvert by the firehouse there, Rocco.
Right.
It's not so easy to get to anymore. You know, over the years, it's really filled in with vegetation. But we have a telescopic sampling pole that we can manage to catch the sample as it's coming out of that culvert.
It sounds
We-
like the same culvert that we got it from, Carol, right?
No, it's different, Rocco. I spoke with Dan about it. Dan, we grabbed a sample directly from that 4-foot outfall at the head of the creek that I told you about. That's on the the southeast corner of the bulkhead, right at the head of the creek, just west of the old Weir. The one, Rocco, the one Dan's talking about, we didn't see it. It's somewhere in that vicinity of where we tested, but we didn't see it, Dan. It must be all overgrown.
It's literally where, Rocco, what is that, Pratt Boulevard there?
Yes.
Okay, it's literally the flow that comes out of Pratt Boulevard by the firehouse there.
Carol, I believe it is the one that we grabbed. I'm going to show you some maps tomorrow morning. We'll go to the other culvert as well, but I think we did pull it from the same culvert. And it's interesting because I believe your numbers were low at the culvert behind in the pond.
The culvert, though, we had to go to 2 Park Place. Remember?
But we took samples from both. The one that Dan's speaking of, I believe, is the one we also grabbed the sample from.
Well,
Isn't the one that the one I'm talking about, say, I don't know what they call a twin culvert or a rectangular culvert? It's not a circular pipe. It's the flow literally under Pratt Boulevard by the firehouse there, 107 in the firehouse.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's adjacent to the parking lot, correct?
Right there, right at the beginning of the parking lot, right closest to Pratt Boulevard. Yeah, you walk right down there and you'll see the flow coming through the culvert.
The other one, you have to walk through the pond. I think we did grab it from the same one.
Well, we're going tomorrow morning, Dan, so I'll take GPS points.
Okay, and then like I said, when I have the sampling person have a date solidified, I'll let you know, Carol. So maybe you guys can meet there, and so we're all on the same page.
And Rocco also thinks that there are 2 culverts on the north side of the pond, right, Rocco?
Yeah, they may just be outfalls. I don't, I know when I've been out there before, I haven't seen much water coming out on a continuous basis. I think it was more on rain events. So that's why I believe we're speaking of the same thing that Dan is, because the culvert just would be running continuous.
Yeah, so we'll let you know. We figured that Rocco was good enough to agree to doing it, to picking up these samples tomorrow. And we didn't want to miss an opportunity to see again, what does this turn out to be? And this will be another dry weather sample, Dan. So that'll be a good thing also. And then we'll try to work to find out what the source is. The other thing, Rocco and Dan, I was wondering about what you mentioned as Cedar Creek. Most people around here, as Glen Cove Creek, when it's outside and parallel to Glen Cove Road, most people think of it as Cedar Swamp Creek.
That's
So
correct.
between the pond and Wren Court, and maybe, still within Glen Cove where the creek is visible, do you know if there are any other outfall areas? Or any easy areas to do testing?
I'm sure there are, Carol.
Right.
I know there's numerous outfalls on that creek. I know that.
Okay. All right, we'll see. We'll start off tomorrow with what we had planned, and then we'll make sure you get the info. So,
Okay.
okay. It's a mystery. Don't know what's causing it all of a sudden, but
All right, well, thank you for following up on that. And, obviously, the more data we have, the better. And the closer we get to identifying the source and all of that. So obviously, it's impacts the whole harbor. I mean, if we end up having high bacteria levels beyond the creek, then that could affect the TMDL that all 9 municipalities will have to deal with. And when that comes out, and take measures to reduce bacteria. So the sooner we can find out where this problem is and head it off, the better we are, if that's possible.
yeah.
All right, moving on, Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District. I mean, obviously, the district's been very preoccupied with the septic grant program, which is a major task. But the district has been getting involved in some other issues, and most likely, and if any of you have been in Muttontown Preserve, there's some great trails in there. There's some historic relic remains in there from a former King Zog's estate. But it's very easy to get lost in there. It's miles and miles of trails, and they crisscross each other and are overgrown. The district has been remarking all the trails, putting new trail markers in there, and making it a lot more accessible to the public. So that's going to be an ongoing thing for several years, but it's a good project. Friends of Cedarmere, Tom, you want to give us a little update?
Sure. Our big project is the water wheel, and that's after the pandemic's put everything on hold. It's coming right along. The wheel is actually being manufactured down in North Carolina, and we've painted the exterior of the building so it really looks really nice. Cleaned the roof. All the brickwork inside and out is done. All the woodwork inside and out is done. We just finished redoing the side where the wheel is. That was just a bunch of tumble down, retaining walls and such, the things that are going to form the race and support the wheel and so forth. So we finished that hillside, and it's fortunate that there's nice sand under all the mud and muck and garbage. Well, not garbage, but broken pieces of cement and so forth. There is actually a garbage dump, but that's a little bit further in, and it yields every once in a while. We find some antique bottles and plates pieces. So that's where we're at. The eventual goal is that thing would be an educational resource showing how it could be used to attract people to come, and you could educate on environmental issues and the history of water power and so forth. So that's where we're at. We're a little concerned because Eileen Krieb may lose her job, the Commissioner of Parks, and she's always been very, very supportive and helped us get grants and so forth. So that remains to be seen what happens next. But we have enough to finish the wheel at any rate and get the machinery working probably end of next summer.
That's great. Okay, I mean, that brings us to municipal updates. Kevin, do you want to start? Kevin?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, Eric, I'm
No problem.
working on the phone here. The one thing that I can bring to the committee that is of some concern is that we had some damage in Roslyn Pond Park from, I believe, the last hurricane. I think was it Ida or Henry? What was the last one?
Ida, yeah.
Ida. Yeah, we had a tremendous amount of water flowing through the new system and the pond system, and we had some major gullying and blowing out of soil and other things. But the town's looking to address that. We also have had other issues around the town that had to deal with Ida, including retaining walls falling down in certain areas. But the town's also looking to address those and fix those. But that has been a major setback in terms of what we've done to Roslyn Pond Park. The quantity of water, as you can imagine, in some cases, as you may have even seen the Great Neck train station flood. So we had a tremendous amount of rainfall. We're looking to evaluate and rectify anything that has happened from there. It may even lead to some further engineering. With the exception of that, I don't recall any additional information pertinent to Hempstead Harbor. Oh, we also had some trail damage, Hempstead Harbor Shoreline Trail, as you can imagine, with trees down and blowing out of certain areas. It's still all being evaluated because we weren't able to get in there. But, you know, we got hit pretty good as most of the North Shore did in other areas. So we're looking to reevaluate that, correct those measures, and move forward from there.
Kevin?
Yeah.
I walked the Shoreline Trail last week, and it's back in business. I was afraid it was going to be washed out, but they seem to have done a bunch of work on it.
Yeah, we had a lot of we had the trail closed off for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the town wasn't able to put resources towards it because we were digging out trees everywhere else. And when I went down there last to check on it, it still wasn't passable. So it may have been a couple weeks that I haven't gotten down there.
Yeah, it was good because we only got first time we only got as far as that pond, and that was flowing over the banks. But and everything seems to be in good shape. As far as the trail itself, I don't know about washouts and things like that, but the trail itself looks good.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. There is a beginning part of the trail that we had to shore up, and so the trail has a lot of underlying clays, like most of the North Shore. So as you get a lot of water, the water runs along the top of the clay, moving down the hills. So I know some areas you probably didn't see, but I'm glad to hear that the majority of the trail is in good shape.
Okay.
That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Kev.
Yep.
Who'd like to go next? Rocco, how about Glen Cove?
Yes, so let's see, Crescent Beach, we got a phone call from Fabco a couple of days ago. They informed us that the precast pits that hold the Helix filters, they're actually ready to be delivered. So we actually may get the filters installed before the end of the year, which is going to be good. And the other thing,
That's on the private property as well as at the end of the creek?
Yeah, on the private properties.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're hoping that they're going to be in before the end of the year. And the other thing, I actually should have mentioned this earlier. I started making some phone calls this afternoon to some contractors about Mill Pond to see what we could do to remove some of that sediment buildup that's in the forebay and see if we can get the pond to start filtering a bit better. And hopefully that can help us with the issue we're having there. And that's about it.
That would be great. I mean, it's probably not cheap, but
Yeah.
it's probably a similar situation to Scudder's Pond. It's not providing much natural biofiltration, and it made a big difference in Scudder's Pond when we ended up getting the sediment out and, putting some native plants in and all of that.
Yeah, and we have a new administration coming in as well, so we're just getting the numbers ready so we can sit down with them and see what has to be done.
I assume that's not going to affect you in your position?
No,
Okay, that's good.
yeah. And congratulations to you as well, Eric. Hopefully it wasn't Glen Cove that caused you to retire.
No, not at all. Glen Cove's always been a pleasure to work with. You guys are great. No matter who's in power, everybody has been always helpful. All right, how about Seacliff? Anything, Tom?
Let's see, Clip. I was going to ask you, where is the house that got the septic system?
It's right on the corner of Prospect and what's that street? You know where the triangle is?
Glen?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that house got flooded out. I
Really?
wonder if it had something to do with that. They got flooded out by that big hurricane.
Yeah, their name is Bell.
Yeah, I
Nice
was
people.
wondering, I saw a sign or something. I was wondering if that was
Yeah.
it. I'm surprised they had room to put the system in because there's not much property.
It was a little bit of, it's a little bit of a challenge because it's the soil, there's a big slope from the road down into their yard and
Mhm.
but they put it in and we were there on Tuesday to see it actually working. It's really interesting to watch how it works, and it's all powered by this just small little pump that uses only like 60 watts of electricity. There's no
Mhm.
electric underground or anything. It's
Right.
a very interesting system.
The only thing I'd heard about Seacliff is I talked to somebody who was, now they're hooking up a lot of properties. I think they have 2 years to hook up onto the new sewer lines that they put in various streets. And he was kind of grousing a bit about, it's like $10,000 and it could be as high as $50,000 if they've got serious problems and so on and so forth. But
Well, Nassau County is providing some money to the village to reimburse the homeowners for doing those hookups. Not only homeowners, but even businesses.
Mhm.
It's not retroactive because it can't be, but there's going to be, it's gonna cover a lot of their costs, if not.
Oh,
all
that's
of their
good.
costs. Yeah.
Also, I think the Scudder's Pond seems to be back down. I don't know if they worked on it, but
Yeah.
it looks normal now. Or it could be just because it didn't rain.
And I had called Bruce Kennedy a couple of times about it. He thought that the Weir was just clogged,
Yeah,
but it's still at a high level. It's, I think, only about 8 inches below that cement pad, which is actually flooding the vegetation on either side.
I noticed it was even higher. It was right up to the top of the slab at one point.
Yeah, it was overflowing into the storm drain, so.
Okay. How about Roslyn Harbor? Adam, anything?
Got nothing.
Okay. Ian, how about Roslyn? Are you still on, Ian? I guess he popped off. All right. How about Gary on Flower Hill?
I think I reported previously that we were looking into a sewer study. We're still pursuing that. We just got an initial bid in and weren't quite happy with it. So we're looking to entertain an additional bid or bidders. I mean, we worked a little bit with Port Washington Sewer District on it, but I think we kind of have to run it sort of independent of what they're trying to have us do. So that's sort of where we are on that. And I don't, if anyone has any thought or input on getting that kind of a study done, I'd be curious to hear.
Okay. I mean, our committee did do a sewer feasibility study for the east side of Hempstead Harbor. It was funded by the county.
Hmm.
You know, that was never finalized. The county never publicized that, but, you know, this,
Do you know who did the report?
yeah, it was DeVerk and Bartolucci,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
our DB engineers now.
Right.
I also believe there was a study done for Manhasset.
Yep.
I don't have my hands on it, but I know it was done because I remember the outrageous number, and it sort of died there. But I know there was something done in Manhasset.
Yeah, there are big numbers. You couldn't believe how, I mean, it's a study. It's not even building. I mean, I know building it is millions, but yeah, just the study seemed like a big load of money. Although we are looking to use American Rescue Plan money for it, or at least part of it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of this federal infrastructure money in that $1.2 trillion bill that was signed on Monday. So I mean, if you have a study and you know what the costs are, I mean, you might be ahead of the curve of other people and trying to get some of that money.
Good point.
All right. How about Sands Point, Lewis?
Just a big shout out of thanks to Carol for connecting us with people who could have potentially helped us do a cleanup. And it didn't work out this time, but it's a fantastic connection, and hopefully we'll be in the mix for the future.
Yeah, I'm sorry it didn't work out, but it was crunch time. They didn't give us a lot of time to maneuver. But soon we'll make it happen.
Yeah. And of course, we also got some great video of some really nasty looking beaches around here.
It's true.
Okay. I guess Nassau County, anything, Dan?
No, nothing new other than what I reported previously, so.
I just got a text from Ian. He says he's in an area with bad reception, so he wasn't able to connect. So that brings us to any other business. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, this is Kevin with the town of North Hempstead. I want to also tell the committee, if they didn't realize, the town of North Hempstead is going to go through an administration change as well. And we're going to be in the same kind of transition period that the county is going to be in. I don't know what it's going to bring, but it's going to be interesting.
And Glen Cove is a big change too.
Yeah.
So we've been through that before. Fortunately, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't like clean water. So I'm sure, you know, after a little bit of a learning curve, I'm sure we'll be working with everybody. So, and as you may know, the former Flower Hill mayor is now the county controller. So she's always been a good friend to this committee, Elaine Phillips, and former state senator also. So it's nice to have people that know us in high places. All right, the only other thing I want to mention is that if you're interested, tomorrow night, the Friends of the Bay has Kat Coughlin from the North Shore Land Alliance, who also is working in conjunction with the Nature Conservancy to promote these nitrogen reducing septic systems like was just installed in Seacliff. And if you're interested, she's got a PowerPoint presentation she's giving tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. If you go to Friends of the Bay, ask you to register, and then they'll send you the link. But should be a good presentation. It's 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So other than that, if nobody has anything else, I guess I wish everybody a good Thanksgiving and December holidays and New Year's, and we'll see you in the new year on the 12th.
Okay, you too, Eric, and have a good trip.
Thanks.
Yeah, ho, ho, ho. Congratulations, Eric.
Happy
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yep.
Happy
Bye-bye.
holidays.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Right.